All right, we're back for our NBA predictions here for Saturday, February 1st here in the National Basketball Association. We've got 9 games today here in the NBA, headlined by a couple big ones, both around 5 o'clock today. You got the Sacramento Kings going to OKC to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously in the midst of this De'Aaron Fox trade talk. We'll get to that later, and obviously the big game tonight on ABC, the Los Angeles Lakers head on over to Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knicks. So those games and more, and obviously with this video, folks, and make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily NBA predictions here on the channel. Earlier today, we posted our 10 best bets for college basketball. That's an hour-long video on the channel today for college basketball best bets. Make sure to check that one out. That one is linked in the description down below. And also make sure to check out our UFC Saudi Arabia predictions with Israel Adesanya and Nasruddin Imavov in the main event. Now, the main event for this fight card is in an hour and a half if you're watching this video when this video came out at 10 a.m. So make sure to watch that video, of course, for the final UFC picks, obviously, for this card. And obviously, next week, UFC's in Australia for the rematch between Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland. What a fight next week. But again, make sure to go check out our UFC Saudi Arabia predictions if you haven't yet. And make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NBA predictions here on the channel. Okay, on to the first of our 9 predictions here today in the association. We're going to start in Indianapolis, Indiana, the host site of the Royal Rumble. And trust me, I'm not just saying that because, WWE's on. I'm saying that because there's something to do with, we'll get to the Royal Rumble in a second. The Atlanta Hawks take on the Indiana Pacers. Now, this game's at 2, the Royal Rumble's at 5. Why do I mention that? Tyrese Halliburton might be in the Royal Rumble. I'm not joking. There is a legitimate chance Tyrese Halliburton is in the Rumble. He's definitely going to be there. Tyrese is a huge WWE guy. He was on SmackDown last night. I wouldn't be surprised if Tyrese enters the Royal Rumble. Like, Pat McAfee's going to be in that thing because it's in Indiana. I wouldn't be surprised if Halliburton has some, sort of role in the show tomorrow night, or tonight, actually. Regardless, the basketball game itself, I'm taking the Pacers. I'd stay away from Tyrese Halliburton player props. I kid you not. Like, I genuinely, you don't know how big of a wrestling fan Tyrese Halliburton is. Tyrese has been good, since his very slow start to the season. He's been a lot better. He scored 30 in the win over the Pistons, 28 in the second Paris game against the Spurs. I would stay away from Tyrese props tonight because it could go one of two ways. Tyrese is, very excited for the Royal Rumble and he goes off, or Tyrese doesn't give a damn about the basketball game and is waiting to go over to the Colts Stadium at Lucas Oil, just, a 10-minute walk away for the Royal Rumble. Legitimately, I don't know what we're going to get out of Tyrese Halliburton. I'd stay away from his props. It could swing one way or the other. Again, this sounds outlandish, but I'm serious. That's going to play a factor, I think, in Tyrese's performance tonight. I do think the Pacers win regardless against the Hawks. Atlanta, I don't know. Trae Young's playing. He's probable for this one. Jalen Johnson obviously out for the season. I saw that rumor yesterday that potentially Brandon Ingram is going to get traded to the Atlanta Hawks. I'd love to see it. I really would, especially with Jalen Johnson out for the season. Trae can't do this all by himself. He needs a number 2. Obviously, DeJounte Murray, unfortunately, out for the year with that Achilles injury last night for the Pelicans against the Celtics, but he was the number 2 last year. Trae Young doesn't have a true number 2, so I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing Brandon Ingram go to Atlanta, but right now the Hawks, I do feel like, are kind of screwed. They're on a huge losing streak. They're 4 games under. They've lost 7 in a row. I don't think they break it tonight against Indiana, if I'm being honest. The Pacers have been one of the best teams in the calendar year so far of 2025, only dropping 2 games to both the Cavaliers and the San Antonio Spurs. Tyrese has been great. Pascal Siakam, obviously, named an All-Star this season as well. It's a rough spot for Atlanta. It just is. No Clint Capella as well. Bogdanovich is out as well. Yeah, it's just Jalen Johnson obviously out for the season. When does Atlanta win another game? They go to Detroit on Monday. I'd like to think they win that one, but I don't know. They could lose that. Wednesday at home against the Spurs, a very winnable game, but they could lose it at the same time. Friday against the Bucks, could definitely lose that. The losing streak will definitely be over by this time next week, though, because next Saturday they go to Washington to take on the Washington Wizards. Now, we'll get to the whatever the hell the Wizards are in a minute, but in this first game, I'm taking Indiana to win and cover. Stay away from Tyrese Halliburton player props. I legitimately don't know where his state of mind is going to be at, because this guy is so pumped for the Royal Rumble. I'm not joking. Tyrese Halliburton probably has to be the biggest WWE wrestling fan within the NBA. He's got to be. Like, trust me, guys. Tyrese Halliburton, and I know this because I follow professional wrestling very closely, Tyrese Halliburton is on wrestling Twitter, which is a very, small community on Twitter. Tyrese Halliburton, knows all the small accounts on wrestling Twitter. It's insane. So, I don't know. I would stay away from Tyrese tonight. I think the Pacers win, though. I think they cover. They don't need Tyrese to have a crazy night to beat Atlanta, especially the way the Hawks are playing right now. Next up, we move on to Utah, to Salt Lake City for the Utah Jazz and the Orlando Magic. I'll take the Magic to win and cover. Personally, I'd stay away, if I'm being honest with you guys. Utah has been absolutely abysmal. We talked about the Hawks losing streak. Well, the only team in the NBA other than the Washington Wizards to have a longer losing streak than Atlanta right now are the Utah Jazz. Utah has lost 8 in a row. They are now last, obviously, in the Western Conference. Again, trade the Lakers, Walker Kessler. For the first time in a while, though, the Jazz have under 5 guys on their injury reports, only 3 this time, with the headlining guys being Cody Williams still out and Johnny Juzang out as well. But Utah is getting their guys back. Still, though, this team has not been playing good basketball recently, and you can make the same exact case, though, about the Orlando Magic. The Magic are ice cold. Completely ice cold. This team has lost 7 after the last 8 games, back-to-back losses on the road to Miami, on the road in Portland, and this road trip doesn't end for a while. They go to Utah today, Monday in San Francisco, Wednesday in Sacramento, Thursday in Denver. They don't return home till again next Saturday against the San Antonio Spurs. I feel like Orlando's got to get better with the injuries, obviously, with all their guys coming back. Jalen Suggs, I don't think is going to play tonight, but I don't know. I think, again, if they can't beat Utah, I get it. The Jazz get their guys back, but if the Magic can't win this game, Orlando's in some serious trouble. Obviously, again, we expected this team to be a top 6 team in the East this year. We expected them to, not have to play the play-in, but obviously things haven't gone their way in terms of injuries, and they haven't been able to really bounce back since Palos came back, in all fairness, and obviously since Franz has been back as well. I don't know. I like Orlando to win this one, but I'd stay away personally. Again, 5.5 points. I feel like they should cover, but again, Orlando's won 1 game out their last 8, and that was a victory. I believe they're at home. Yes, against the Detroit Pistons, which is kind of odd when you think about it. I mean, Detroit hasn't been that bad this year. I don't know. They've won 1 out their last 8, but Utah's lost 8 in a row. So pick your damn poison. I'll take Orlando minus 5.5, but again, personally, I'd stay the hell away from this basketball game. Next up, we move on to Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a lot of big spreads today, and these next 3 games are just 13, 14, 18.5 point lines. Don't know what to do with them, honestly. The first one being the Denver Nuggets going to Charlotte to take on the Charlotte Hornets. I'll take Denver. I get it, second half of a back-to-back. They had to play a grueling game last night in Philadelphia against the 76ers. I told you Philly was going to cover in that basketball game because Denver really can't blow any half-decent team out just because they don't play defense. Again, Philly scored 134 on them. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey had 40-plus again. Jamal Murray was the leading scorer for the Nuggets last night with 31. They get the Charlotte Hornets, though, and this is one of the few teams right now Denver can blow out. Why? The injuries to Charlotte. No LaMelo Ball for the next week. Mark Williams is still out. You got a couple guys off the bench missing as well. Cody Martin, Josh Okogie, who they got in that trade, obviously, for Richards from the Phoenix Suns. Charlotte's kind of screwed with this lack of bench depth. And I get it, second half of a back-to-back for Denver. I completely understand that. But still, man, Charlotte's been pretty bad without their guys back. They lost to the Clippers by 8, which, again, I think Denver is better than the Clippers sometimes, usually. They lost the Nets on Wednesday by 21 points, which is abysmal. Again, without LaMelo Ball. They lost the Lakers by 5. But again, that's what happens when you get a team that is, is essentially being carried by Miles Bridges. He can't put a team on his back. I think Denver does win this game, and I think they cover. The Nuggets, again, coming off a game last night. They did lose 3 in a row prior to that. That's why we picked Philadelphia to cover that line last night because of the losses for Denver, in Minnesota, in Chicago, in New York. Obviously, this is the final game of their big road trip. They return home on Monday for 2 games against the New Orleans Pelicans to start off their little homestand, and they randomly go to Phoenix in between. But they're at home for a while coming up in February. I think they have every game's at home for them except for 2 in the entire month of February. I get the All-Star break and everything, but still. I don't think the second half of a back-to-back really affects Denver too much considering the team they're playing and considering the injuries that the Charlotte Hornets have as well. I think Jokic, Jamal Murray, Russell Westbrook and company should be fine in this game. I do worry sometimes about Denver trying to play defense, and again, I think that's ultimately what's going to hurt them a lot in the postseason this year. I don't really fear Denver as much as I used to. Now, as a Lakers fan, I still do fear Denver, don't get me wrong, because of what's happened in the last 2 playoffs. but I don't think they're as good as the last couple seasons because, again, they just don't have any defensive presence at all. They don't play defense. So, I don't know. I think in this game they will find a way to cover this line against Charlotte, but against the better teams, Denver is going to struggle this season. Trust me, they are not the dominant force they used to be when, again, they made it. When they beat the Lakers last year in the first round, when they made it to the NBA Finals and won the NBA Finals, obviously 2 years ago, they're not that same presence, I don't think. They're still good, but I wouldn't call them, obviously a title favorite or nothing. I think the Lakers, honestly, have a better chance of winning it all right now than the Nuggets. Just saying, we'll get to Los Angeles later. Give me Denver in the spot to win and cover the 13.5 points. Going on to another huge spread, we go to Houston, Texas for the Houston Rockets taking on the Brooklyn Nets. I'm going to take Houston minus 14.5. They are minus 1,200 on the money line. Brooklyn plus 700. I'll take Houston. I will. The Rockets with a very close game the other night against the Memphis Grizzlies. It was the 2 versus the 3, obviously, in the Western Conference, and it was a very close game, obviously, that Memphis won. Some controversy at the end of the game, obviously, with the timeout that wasn't called, but ended up getting called on the Jalen Wells breakaway dunk. Obviously, Jaren Jackson sunk those 2 free throws at the end of the game to win it for Memphis, but a very close game and not a bad game if you're a Rockets fan. Obviously, we were fine with the Rockets spread in that one, and again, I said it a couple weeks ago, and I'm making it very clear still, I am done hating on the Houston Rockets. I think they have the 3rd best chance to win the Western Conference this year. Okay? I think they're behind OKC, obviously 1, LA 2, Houston 3, Denver 4. That's how I'm ranking the top teams in terms of likeliness to go to the NBA Finals. I know, might be a hot take, but that's where I have Houston right now. This team plays really good defense when they need to. I think Amen Thompson's been absolutely brilliant for them. Jalen Green obviously has excelled in this role this season, and Alfred Sengun does it all for them as well. I don't mind Houston at all in this spot, especially against the Nets. Brooklyn, again, are 14.5-point underdogs in this game. They are coming off their first victory in a while. It was their 3rd win of the calendar year in 2025. They had a win again against Charlotte on Wednesday, their last game. They beat Portland in Portland on January 14th, and they went to Milwaukee and won on January 2nd. So Brooklyn's only victories this year are somehow on the road. Now, their next game will be the Rockets as well when they play them at Barclays in Brooklyn on Tuesday. I think the Rockets have a game in between, though, right? Yeah, they play the Knicks on Monday. I'll take the Rockets, though, to cover the 14.5 points. I think it's a matter of time before Brooklyn trades their guys, I'll be honest with you. I think, again, the deadline is coming up, obviously, and Cam Thomas still out, Cameron Johnson not playing tonight, Noah Clowney out throughout, or likely out throughout the All-Star break. So, yeah, the Nets are kind of screwed. I mean, they've been screwed all year long. I mean, good luck with Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell tonight. I don't think the Nets play a competitive game at all here. This is a National Blowout Association game. Again, we said it, there are 3 straight games with crazy spreads, and those are for a reason. It's just not because, the Nets have been horrible all year long, and the Rockets have been good all year long. I mean, that's a factor, but look at what the Nets are throwing out there tonight. Again, this is one of the problems with the NBA product right now, I'm not going to lie. You get games like this, like who is, purchasing a ticket to go watch the Rockets and the Nets? Right? I mean, who's paying, cheapest ticket, ESPN says $21. I mean, but who's paying $21 to go to this basketball game? You know what's going to happen. Even if you're a Rockets fan, I mean, you're not even going to get to see anyone cool on the Nets. You're watching for D'Angelo Russell? I don't know. Just saying. That's just what happens when you have really bad teams in the association. It's a problem right now. Give me the Rockets, though, to win and cover the line as well. They should blow out the Nets. Speaking of blowouts, the Washington Wizards. It's embarrassing. This is a team in the National Basketball Association. Guys, do they win another game the rest of the season? I mean, obviously they will. Hell, they beat the Nuggets earlier in the year. But, this team hasn't won a game since January 1st. They're now on a, 17-game losing streak? 16-game losing streak? They do have some chances coming up, though. In Charlotte on Monday, in Brooklyn on Wednesday. They're probably going to lose both those, if being honest. But still, they have some opportunities. They're not winning this game, obviously. They're not going to Minnesota and winning. I mean, I have not watched a full Wizards game from front to end, from beginning to end, in a while. And I did on Thursday, obviously, because they were playing the Lakers. Again, I try to watch, as much basketball as I can. Even the first Lakers-Wizards game, I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch the full thing because, I just didn't feel like watching the second half in that game that was being played in Los Angeles. But I did have a reason to watch the entire game on Thursday, obviously, because I wanted to see Bronny play, right? I mean, legitimately, I was really excited that the Lakers were blowing out the Wizards because it meant we got to watch 12 minutes of Bronny James playing basketball in the fourth quarter. Okay, guys, the Wizards are absolutely horrible. And the Lakers commentator, Stu, said it himself. The score doesn't replicate how bad that game was between the Lakers and the Wizards. The Wizards lose 134-96. Guys, that game wasn't competitive. Kyle Kuzma is shooting 52% from the free throw line this season. And why is Kyle Kuzma pulling up from half court to start the game? Like, what is going on with the Wizards? Like, again, I try to watch as much basketball as I can. But that was the first Wizards game in a minute where I watched from beginning to end. Oh my goodness, that was horrible. Because the thing is, not all the highlights honestly replicate how bad the Wizards are because they just skip all their messes and they skip how horrible they are. Oh my God. Like, I knew they were bad. I know they were that horrible. Like, again, I watched last Wizards game before that I watched the Phoenix game some. They weren't horrible in that spot, but like, my goodness, man, that was abysmal. Abysmal. They're going to go to Minnesota and get killed. This team, guys, they don't play competitive basketball. They don't. I don't care who's out for the Timberwolves. Oh, no Julius Randle. Oh, Mike Conley might not play. DiVincenzo's still been out. Obviously, he's having surgery. Doesn't matter. Ant's going to drop 35, and the Timberwolves, this game will be over by the third quarter. It's an embarrassing display of basketball the Wizards are putting on right now. It just is. Do they get 10 wins? I think you're hard-pressed to find 4 more wins on the schedule. For being nice to the Wizards, say they get one of the 2 against Charlotte and Brooklyn this upcoming week, okay? Let's say they get Brooklyn on February 24th at home, I think, because that will be probably, that's post-Brooklyn sell. So, like, all those, Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas will probably be gone by then. So it's 2 wins. Can we find 2 more? They're not going to Portland and winning. Brooklyn at home again, March 29th, but they're not going to beat them twice. Let's be honest. They're not going to beat Brooklyn twice. So I can't find 4 wins. They're not going to Toronto and winning. Maybe if Toronto came to Washington, maybe they have a chance, but they're not going to Toronto and winning that game. They're not going to Utah and winning. Maybe they'll beat Utah at home, but probably not. I think max they get 2 more wins. I'm serious. Max they go 8-74. Oh my goodness. It's embarrassing. It's just straight embarrassing. How is this a professional basketball team? Minnesota minus 18.5. Next up, let's move on to some important games, obviously. I mean, you know what's going to happen in those games that we just talked about. You know who the winner is going to be. I mean, is there a doubt in anyone's mind that the minus 2,000 favorites Minnesota Timberwolves aren't beating the Wizards? Because if you do have a doubt in your mind, go play plus 1,000 Wizards. And if that hits, I will applaud you. Anyways, the Sacramento Kings taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm taking the Thunder minus 9.5. Okay, this is a perfect bounce back spot for the best player in the NBA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, I was, obviously in attendance, and I got to see Shai's second highest scoring night of his career, 52 points against the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, it was not enough because the rest of the team kind of didn't show up, and whenever Shai came off the court, the Thunder, or the Warriors, started to go on a run. What the hell are the Sacramento Kings right now, guys? It felt like, again, they fire Mike Brown, Doug Christie's the coach, they start building, they win, 8 straight games, they've won, 12 out of 13, and then De'Aaron still wants to leave. Again, it's not to the same point where the Jimmy Butler situation in Miami, obviously not to that same extent, but when you have a guy that doesn't want to be there, and he's still playing, obviously. He's made it clear, I want to go to San Antonio to play with Victor Wembanyama. What does that do to the morale of this team when this guy is your franchise guy? He's still starting. He won the Kia Clutch Player of the Year award in the past. This guy took you back to the playoffs, and now he wants out? And then what does that say about they have the future in Sacramento with DeMar DeRozan? He just signed there for 4 years. You're going to get rid of DeRozan now too? I'm serious, guys. I think Sacramento's going to have to blow it up. Because you're telling me there's no winning window right now with DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis. Definitely, they should try this season. There's no reason to, all right, De'Aaron leaves, we have to, tear it all down now. No, they should make one last attempt, I think. But in this offseason, I think you do probably get rid of DeMar. You probably get rid of Sabonis. and I don't know if Kings fans want to hear this, but Chris Paul's probably going to be a Sacramento King. Probably, unless there's a 3-team trade element. I did see something about how the Lakers might get Chris Paul. Chris Paul's a Laker. Oh. 12 years too late. I'm serious, 12 years too late. Wait, we're 2025 now? No. 14 years? Oh my goodness, 14 years too late. Yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't. It's just, it sucks for the Kings, but they're probably going to try the season, I would think, again, if they do get Chris Paul. It'd be Chris Paul, DeRozan, obviously, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. Again, that's a team that could potentially make the playoffs, win in the play-in, but that's a team that's obviously not going to win in the playoffs at all. They're probably going to be a first-round exit. I could see them maybe being like an 8 seed and running to OKC in the first round and maybe taking a game off the Thunder. And oh yeah, they're playing the Thunder tonight. Guys, OKC's going to dominate this game. It's a bounce-back spot. Shea again continues to improve his MVP resume, obviously. SGA averaging 33 points a night, leading the NBA in points per game, obviously. 2 50-point performances this season. It won't be the last time he scores 50 points. Again, SGA is just that good, man. I mean, he scores 52 of the Thunder's 109 points. He had 20 in the first quarter. The guy's just that good. And just imagine what happens when Chet comes back. And imagine maybe if the Thunder move a couple of their first-round picks, because they have a lot. And what if they get another star player? I'm just saying. I don't want Jimmy Butler here. It's not going to happen. But, you know, they could definitely get another star here in OKC. Don't know who it's going to be, but they have the draft capital to trade for a guy. Just saying, SGA is that good. Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder to blow out the Kings here. They will cover the 9.5 points, and they will win at home as well. Let's move on to our next one. We go to the game of the day. At Madison Square Garden, you have got the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the New York Knicks. I'm actually going to take the Knicks to win. I'm taking the Lakers to cover. I would be pleasantly surprised if the Lakers go to MSG and win. But guys, Tom Thibodeau in a big spot in the regular season. Jalen Brunson's playing 40 minutes. Cat will play 44 with no Anthony Davis in the lineup. Josh Hart against his former team. He's questionable. It doesn't matter. He's going to play 43 minutes. Who else? Mikal Bridges, he'll give you a good 39. OG Anunoby will give you 37. I'm serious, guys. It pisses me off how much Tom Thibodeau wants to win in the regular season. Good for bro, but again, I'm making it very clear. The Knicks are going nowhere in the playoffs. They are a first-round exit. Right now, as it stands, they're the 3 seed. Oh, they take on the Pistons in the first round. I can't really say the Pistons are going to beat them. For the sake of argument, they're probably going to be the 3 seed. Let's hope the Hawks go on a run and the Hawks get the 6th seed. Guys, if it's Hawks Knicks in the first round, I don't care the losing streak the Hawks are on. If the Hawks go out and get BI and they get the Knicks in the first round, the Hawks are going to beat the New York Knicks. The Knicks are not prepared to win in the postseason. Their guys are going to be dead in the postseason. It's just how it works. Again, though, don't bet against the Knicks in regular season basketball. They will try their absolute hardest to win these games. And especially because LeBron James is coming to town now, the Lakers. Now, no Anthony Davis, obviously. The Lakers have a bunch of injuries. I believe LeBron is questionable, but I expect LeBron to play it on national television. He's probable. Again, LeBron's going to play. Hachimura probable. DFS questionable. Jalen Hood-Schifino doesn't play basketball. And Gabe Vincent's questionable. We actually need you now, Gabe, because we're not playing the Wizards anymore. I be honest, I like Bronny, but I don't want to see Bronny play tonight. I just don't. Rather watch Gabe Vincent play. Bronny can play February 10th against the Jazz. Back-to-back spots against the Jazz on the 10th and the 12th. Bronny can play back-to-back games then. Yeah, give me the Knicks to win. I think the Lakers can cover, though. I think LeBron's going to will this team. LeBron historically has always played pretty well at Madison Square Garden. I know what you're thinking. Oh, the Hazonia game where, that happened a couple years ago. What year was that? Was that 2020? Mario Hazonia blocked LeBron. I think it was either 19 or 20, if I'm mistaken. It might have been 18, actually. Might have been his first year. Anyways, LeBron's always played pretty well in the Garden. I think they keep this game close to the Knicks. But again, yes, it is the Knicks in a regular season game. Their guys are going to play a million minutes, and the Lakers don't have Anthony Davis. Again, they were able to get by against the Wizards, obviously, but this team does need AD, or they do need a center. So again, Walker Kessler, Hachimura, 2 first-round picks, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and you can have Norm Nixon. You can retire his jersey in Utah. We'll give you Norm Nixon's historical stats. You can have Storm and Norman Nixon, and maybe you can make, a Storm and Norman Nixon spin-off of Winning Time with the Utah Jazz. Don't know where that's going, but that's what we are willing to offer you. Rob Pelinka, make it happen. If they don't want to give up Storm and Norman Nixon, just give them the Pat Riley statue they're about to build outside of crypto. Just give them that. Even though Pat Riley works for the Miami Heat. Regardless, give me the Knicks to win. I'll take the Lakers to cover. Again, I think the Lakers are good enough to keep this game close, but wouldn't bet against this Knicks team in the regular season. Anyways, to our next one, we go to San Antonio, Texas. Second half of a back-to-back for the Spurs as they host the Miami Heat. Again, speaking of Pat Riley, obviously the Godfather, here's his team. Obviously, without Jimmy Butler for the foreseeable future, is Jimmy ever going to play another game for the Heat? I hope not. Again, the Heat are trying to turn that corner. Coming off that loss against the Cavs the other night, but again, back-to-back victories prior to that against the Brooklyn Nets and against the Orlando Magic. They now go to San Antonio to take on the Spurs, who are coming off a second half of a back-to-back as well. Or I guess, well, Miami hasn't played since Wednesday, but still, San Antonio beat the Bucks the other night. I think San Antonio's back, so I will take the Spurs hesitantly. I wouldn't play this one. I think I have a play in the next game that I like a lot more than this, and we'll explain that in a second here. I think San Antonio still wins. Wembanyama with a huge night last night against the Bucks, 30-14 against Milwaukee. And again, we will see if this team eventually trades for De'Aaron Fox in the upcoming weeks. I think they get Miami here. I think, because it depends on who the Heat put on Wemby. I feel like they're going to put Khalil Ware on him. And if they do, I think Wembanyama is really going to feast in that matchup. Again, though, this is what the Heat need to do. They need to just move on from Jimmy Butler and learn how to play without him, obviously, and that's what they've been doing through multiple suspensions now. I'm just curious to see what they get in return for Jimmy. And I don't know where Jimmy goes, because he's not going to go to Phoenix, because Bradley Beal will not waive the no-trade clause. He doesn't want to go to Memphis. Warriors? Maybe, but then what do the Warriors trade Miami? I mean, hey, Pat Riley might fleece him and get Kuminga out of it. I'm serious. I don't know. Because if the Heat get Kuminga, all right. Kuminga doesn't even start for the Warriors. You get Kuminga in the pick, all of a sudden now Miami doesn't feel all that bad in the East. I don't know. Right now, though, again, they're still, dealing with this Jimmy Butler stuff, and I think San Antonio gets them at home, especially, again, that Khalil Ware, Victor Wembanyama matchup. I really like Wemby in that spot. We saw Khalil Ware in college last year have to play another really huge center, and that obviously was Zach Edey, and he didn't really perform in those matchups, so I'll side with Wembanyama over Khalil Ware if Zach Edey was dominant in those Purdue-IU matchups last season in college. Okay, let's move on to our final game of the night. Yeah, I like this one more than the Spurs pick, though. I like the Portland Trailblazers at home, plus 130. If you want to take the spread, take it at plus 3.5. I think the Blazers beat the Suns here. Everything kind of, aligns for Portland here. The Blazers have now won 6 out their last 7 games. Wins over the Bulls, Heat, Magic, Hornets, lost to the Thunder, but that's expected. Bucks and Magic in back-to-back games at home. And now they get the Suns, who are on a second half of a back-to-back. They're coming off a nationally televised spot last night against the Warriors, where obviously they win. KD, obviously back in the Bay Area. Not like he hasn't been back there a million times, but still back in the Bay Area. D-Book had a huge night. Nick Richards had 16 boards for the Suns as well. This feels like a letdown spot for Phoenix, though. Second half of a back-to-back, I think Portland catches them. I've been saying again for a couple of days now, I think the Suns are going to split with Portland. And I think this is the game where Portland wins, because obviously they have back-to-back. There's another game on Monday between these two squads. This is the one I think Portland gets. Jeremy Grant is questionable to play. Dare I say it, I kind of hope he doesn't play, because I think they have a better chance of winning without him, because it puts more emphasis on Denny Adjeva, who's been playing really well recently. Anthony Simons has obviously been great, and Scoot Henderson has continued to evolve this season. He's been very good for Portland. Again, the Blazers have won, they've won 6 out their last 7 games, looking to make it 7 of 8 here. The Blazers all of a sudden are only 5 games out the play-in. They're not obviously going to get in because they're still behind both the Spurs and Warriors, and right now currently they're chasing the Kings in that 10 spot. But still, I think Portland's been playing really hot basketball right now, and if they're going to catch Phoenix, it's going to be in this spot. Again, second half of a back-to-back for the Suns. They were just on the road last night. Now they have to go up north, obviously, to Portland to take on the Blazers. I do like the Portland Trail Blazers here at the Rose Garden. This is the hottest the Blazers have been all season long, and I think they get Phoenix here to win 7 out their last 8. Give me the Portland Trail Blazers at home to cap off the night against the Phoenix Suns at plus 130. You can take the plus 3.5, though, as well. So folks, thank y'all for watching our NBA predictions here for February 1st. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.